Welcome back to ESBR Boxing YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Elliot Grigg, which means we're in preview mode. Before we get into the preview, if you're not a subscriber already, if you enjoy our content, basically daily content coming your way on our YouTube channel, then please do hit the subscribe button. It means a lot to all of us. We've got you covered with all boxing and stuff, really. Reviews, previews, big fight breakdowns, interviews with fighters, you name it. We've got you covered. And for this particular video, we are again in preview mode. Elliot and myself, the dynamic duo, we're back and we're looking at a massive fight this weekend at the BMO Stadium in LA in USA. And it is the return, the first time we've seen him in over a year. Terence Crawford is back, moving up to 154 pounds, facing the champion Israil Madrimov for his world light middleweight title, super welterweight, whatever you want to call it. But before we actually talk about the fight, mate, we'll come on to predictions and stuff at the end. As we like to do now, we kind of the talking points. I'm going to just come straight at you, mate, and say, after you've told me and the viewer how you're keeping, I just want you to tell me yes or no, is Terence Crawford number one pound for pound fighter in the world?
Possibly. Thank you very much for eloquent breakdown. I think no. I think the reason I say possibly is because if someone was to sit here and say yes, I think he's number one pound for pound fighter in the world. I wouldn't fight to the death over that. But I feel like it's him, Usyk, and Inoue, the top three, and people can have their sort of preferences. I mean, you look at guys there that have unified divisions, multiple weight world champions as well. For me, I prefer Usyk probably just because I think what he's done, the leap that he's done from sort of cruiser to heavyweight, obviously fighting Fury, beating Anthony Joshua, for me pips it. Those guys are obviously monsters, and if you look at the run he had at cruiserweight as well, that's why I kind of favour him. But if someone was to turn around to me and say, "No, I prefer Inoue," or "No, I prefer Terence Crawford," I'd go fair play. And we'll shake hands and we'll go our separate ways. But for me, it's Usyk. But for you, Paul, is it Crawford or is it Usyk as well?
Yeah, it's one of them where it's your mind changes so many times. Like I have been banging the Terence Crawford drum for quite some time before he even before he was really unified at welterweight, and obviously before that Errol Spence fight, which is a year ago now when you think about it. I remember how dominant that was. If you think about it, at that time, just after he did that and put on that clinic against Errol Spence, everyone was going, "Well, there's your pound for pound king, Terence Crawford," but he hasn't fought for a year now, and he's 36. So you're thinking, since then, obviously Usyk has become undisputed at heavyweight. And Nunes had what, two or three more fights become undisputed at super bantam now as well. You're kind of not so much forgetting about Crawford. He's still mentioned in that breath, and those are the top three. I totally agree. But maybe because he hasn't fought for 12 months, we're thinking, no, it's probably Usyk or Inoue. Like you, mate, I'm not arguing. I'm not going to sit here and argue. If you tell me that Inoue is the best, fair play to you. If you tell me Crawford's the best, yep, I can get behind that. Equally, if you tell me Usyk's the best, I'm happy to get behind that as well. So it's just one of them where they're my top three. Yeah, there would be a conversation had if you didn't have Crawford in the top three, for example, then I'd maybe be I would maybe have a disagreement with you. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Right now, I'll say Usyk as well, just because of the whole, going to cruiserweight to heavyweight is not easy, and the weight he's been given away since being at heavyweight to the likes of AJ and Fury's crazy. So yeah, I'll have him at number one. So yeah, maybe not. I'll have Crawford at number two or three, but this isn't all about the pound for pound debate. Maybe we don't want to. This is more about a preview for his upcoming fight. As I mentioned, Crawford stepping up to 154 pounds for his first time, aiming to become a three-weight world champion. I believe it might even be four. I do apologize if I'm wrong, but yeah, he's fighting Israil Madrimov, who is an undefeated Uzbek fighter, 10-0-1, 7 KOs. Won the title obviously last time out. He destroyed Kurbanov, I think it's fair to say, in 5 rounds in March. What chance do you give Madrimov here? Kind of, percentage wise against Terence Crawford. You know, he's the underdog. Let's be honest, we all know that. But do you think that there are certain factors that could maybe favour Madrimov, given that Crawford hasn't fought for a year, he's 7 years older than Madrimov, and he's actually never fought at 154 pounds?
Yeah, no, I think you mentioned all, all the factors there, Paul, which actually narrow this as a fight from what initially, initially you look at it, you think Terence Crawford or blast through anyone essentially after what you see what happened with Errol Spence, you think who's going to stop him essentially. But you look up at like you say, the additional weight, the fact that There was a good win last time out, obviously against Corbanoff as well. Tough fighter as well. 25 and he was undefeated at the time when Madrimov beat him. Madrimov also not with too many miles on the clock, more comfortable at that weight as well. So for me, obviously carries power. For me, he's actually this is a live opponent for Terence Crawford. He's going to obviously come to win Madrimov. I think if he beats Terence Crawford, he's the man that beat Terence Crawford. Heavily motivated. I think. Where do I see this percentage wise? To be honest, I see it narrower than I think a lot of people see it, but I still obviously favour Terence Crawford. I think is fair to say, but I do have it probably. I don't have him. I don't have Crawford going above 60%. Frankly, I think this would be a really tough fight for him. I really think it'd be a tough fight. We'll come to predictions in a minute, but I think I'll go up a limit. I'll go sort of 60-40 Crawford.
Very interesting, mate. Very interesting. Yeah, guys, let us know whether you agree with that. I agree with him that percentage wise, I'm favouring Crawford. As quite a big Crawford fan, I'm probably going to go a little bit more. I maybe go 70-30 for Terence Crawford. But like you said, Madrimov, he's the champion here. Yes, he's the underdog, and you're obviously going to be an underdog when you're fighting Terence Crawford, let's be honest. But as you and I have both mentioned, age is on his side. He fought at 154 pounds. That's his weight class. That's on his side. The potential inactivity of Terence Crawford this past year, that's also on Madrimov's side. But then you actually look at, you mentioned the weight and stuff, but you actually look at the dimensions of Bud, and he's got like a 6 inch reach advantage over Madrimov, despite only just moving up here to super welter. Also, the southpaw stance, I wonder will that trouble Madrimov. So yeah, well, it all remains to be seen, mate. I'm actually really looking forward to this one. Decent enough undercard as well. We've got a big heavyweight fight there. I'm looking forward to Andy Ruiz Jr. against Israil Miller. That will be interesting viewing for as long as it lasts. But yeah, mate, we're coming to the time now where we'd like to give our final prediction on this fight. Israil Madrimov defends his WBA World Super Welterweight title against Terence Crawford. Does he retain it, or are we going to hear Ann New and Terence Crawford moving to 41-0?
We're going to hear the latter, Paul. We're going to hear Ann the New, and we're going to have Terence Crawford winning this. I actually favour Crawford's got what 40 wins, 31 knockouts. I actually favour the knockout here as well, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he's going to get it done, but I think it'll be second half of the fight, somewhere sort of around 8, 9, 10. I can see him just kind of like, I can see, like you said, the southpaw stance. I can see him just grinding Madrimov down, essentially, catching that reach. You can't, overlook the sort of advantages in reach as well, there in size. So, yeah, I think despite giving away, I suppose, familiarity at the weight, I still expect him to just outclass Madrimov, frankly, and stop him. Sort of like a real sort of statement victory. This will be a really good victory, frankly, for Terence Crawford. A lot of people have hammered him unfairly for what happened against Errol Spence, saying that Errol Spence, was finished, etc. Wasn't the same fighter. I think this will be another massive victory for Terence Crawford if he comes to Madrimov well here, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think he's going to get it done.
Yeah, mate, I can't disagree with you there. I'm also going Bud Crawford. Via stoppage here, I'm going to go a little earlier than you. I'm going to go rounds 5, 6, or 7, roughly. I think that, yeah, Madrimov is a credible opponent, a credible world champion. He's been brilliant. Looked class against Kurbanov last time out. But Terence Crawford's a different kettle of fish. I think that he'll prove that. Yeah, I'm expecting an emphatic display from Terence Crawford. Maybe show us why he perhaps is the pound for pound number one. Guys, let us know your thoughts on whether he is or not. What do you see happening in this fight? How do you see it playing out? Do you give Madrimov a 40% chance, like Elliot said, 30% chance, like I said, or something else? Let us know your thoughts on this fight. And as always, please like, subscribe, share our content, check out the rest of the channel and all of that jazz. Elliot, thanks very much for joining me, mate. And I'll speak to you again soon for another weekly preview.
Thank you very much, Paul. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.